Okay, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. I feel nervous. I feel exposed. I never do things like this. I never do vlogs where you can like see my whole whatever. I always hide behind green screen, and I'm just gonna push myself even though I feel uncomfortable because I know that I'm never going to get where I want to be unless I start letting myself be vulnerable. And my apartment's actually kind of messy right now, but my roommate is going out for the night and the sun is about to set here in Barcelona. So I'm going to take this opportunity to make a vlog, and I feel so nervous already, and I'm probably talking too fast. Okay, I just need to, I don't know why I feel so nervous. I've been doing social media for a long time as a full-time job, gosh, for like many years at this point. But I have worked for different companies and different content creators, and only in the past few years have I let myself become the subject of my social media channels. And when I first started back in November of 2021, I was going through a really difficult separation from a person who I thought was going to be in my life for the rest of my life. And after that person and we lived together, and then they moved out, and then there was like two big relationships in my life that ended at that time. I don't know if ended is the right word because maybe that person's watching this. I don't know what we are. But basically, I was really shattered. I was shattered and I needed something to take my mind off of things. And I posted a video that first, I believe it was, I can remember the day because I remember the exact anxiety feeling I had. It was November 18th, 2021. And I posted a video and I just said, what if I don't have anything interesting to say? And it was kind of like a sardonic, just like, what if my life's not interesting enough to be documented? And then one of my friends, Julia from undergrad, who was in all of my creative writing classes with me, she was like, your life is so interesting. I love your channel already. She was like a very early supporter of me and has always supported me since. And it gave me the courage to just post again and again. And that first year on TikTok was difficult because I had no followers. I mean, I think it took me like 4 months just to get a few hundred people subscribed to my TikTok. And I would post these really long videos and I would research essays and books and do like in-depth breakdowns. But it wasn't until I started reviewing TV shows that my channel really took off. And then I remember by that summer, I had about 1,000 followers. And then by the next summer, I had 30,000 followers. And then now I'm 44,000 something. And the channel has really changed my life in a lot of ways. I've gotten to work with a lot of brands that I really like. I've gotten to work with publishing houses like Simon & Schuster and HarperCollins. I've had authors send me advanced copies of their book. I've had companies send me products. People send me free t-shirts, free swag. I've gotten to talk to the people who run the Game of Thrones account because my account started to get a lot of traction from my Game of Thrones recap videos and all of that. And I've just made so many friends along the way. And still, I had this feeling that I'm not living up to my potential, in that I hide because I'm embarrassed that I am fat. I'm just gonna say it. I'm embarrassed that I'm fat. I'm embarrassed that I have a big body. I have spent a lot of my childhood fat, and then I had a period where I lost a lot of weight because I was struggling with, I'm gonna just censor words here because I want this video to be seen, but I was struggling with a certain condition which made me suddenly not have a lot of weight on me. I was in the modeling industry for a while, and I was trying to fill this void inside myself that didn't feel beautiful, that didn't feel worthy. I did a lot of work on myself. I am happy to say that I love myself and I feel confident in many ways, but I still notice that in my social media presence, I hide constantly. I hide behind green screen. I always find a picture of something else to look at, and then I make myself as small as possible because I can't stand the thought of being exposed for being fat. I don't want people to see my body. I don't want people to make fun of me, to say that, to bring back the kind of memories that I have from bullying when I was little, especially when I was in elementary school and middle school and people were just ruthless. And as I've gotten older, as I came to terms with my sexuality and came out as a confident gay man, I have met so many people who love me for my bigger body, which has also been really disorienting because people will like that I'm really big. There's like this whole fetish in the gay community called feederism, and there's like these whole groups of people who love bigger bodied men and who that's what they seek out in dating and sex. And so it's also been interesting to have my like kind of insecurities be the thing that's also celebrated about me in some spaces. And needless to say, we live in a very fat phobic and anti-fat bias filled world. And so no matter how much validation that I might receive from people online or from people that I date, there is still the reality that I don't feel comfortable in a lot of public spaces, that my body is too big to fit in airplane seats, that I feel really uncomfortable in restaurants or bathrooms because I literally can't fit, especially here in Europe where everything is fucking so small. And so pushing myself to do this vlog and to talk about this amongst a bunch of other things that I want to talk about today. I want to actually try to make like a proper long video. One of the biggest criticisms that I got early on in my TikTok career is that I would only post videos that were less than a minute. Also because I struggled with the idea that what I had to say was valuable. I've received a lot of external validation from the different universities I attended. I mean, I went to an Ivy League school for undergrad, and then I got my master's degree in fine arts and fiction writing. And so in some ways I've had like an interesting life, you know, like I'm a queer person. I've lived in 10 different countries. I've lived in Italy and India and South Africa. I've traveled all over the world. I've dated interesting people. I've published stories. I have an interesting family. Like I have a life that there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to break down. There's a lot to discuss. But I still have always battled this feeling of what if like I am not enough? What if I am not interesting? What if the only thing interesting about me, oh, the sun is starting to set and you can see the iPhone on me, maybe if I scoot up. What if the only thing interesting about me is the topics that I cover or things like that? I'm gonna see if I can move this. Ooh, I can, okay. It's about to get a little darker, but we're gonna see if we can do this in one take. Okay, bear with me. Don't give up. We're doing this together. And we're gonna see if this will block the shadow. I think that it will, and we'll still have light. Oh, okay. Let's see if, you know, you guys are seeing my very first long vlog, so there's gonna be technical difficulties. That's another thing. I don't have the fancy equipment. I don't have a mic stand. And so I think sometimes like, what if I'm just not prepared enough or good enough to do this? Is it gonna stay? Okay, it is. I'll just scoot back a little bit. But yeah, I think so. Oh my gosh, is it working? Okay. So I think that is one of the big things that I've always wondered is, what if no one cares? What if no one is interested in what I have to say? And I've slowly learned, as with my writing, that if I'm interested in what I have to say, if it's important to me, it might be important to someone out there. And I think that one of the things that I want to face is that I feel that I'm not living up to my potential because so often in life, I'm afraid of finding out that I'm bad at something. So for example, with TikTok, with social media, I post a lot of short videos where it's green screen, where you can't really see me because one, I'm afraid of the rejection of people seeing that I'm big and making fun of me because I'm fat. I'm afraid that people will call me ugly, say that I'm not attractive enough to be a YouTuber or be a TikToker. But then I'm also afraid that if I really tried to make things like this, if I made long form vlogs that no one would care, that it wouldn't be as popular as my content where I talk about a TV show or a celebrity or a piece of news or something that is outside of me. I'm afraid that I don't have what it takes. And so then what I do is I avoid. I say that I'm going to make a long video. I say I'm going to talk about my life, then I'm going to make a vlog. I say I'm going to share the interesting stories of my life, me traveling around Spain right now with my best friend. And then I end up not. I just revert back to only talking about Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon or what's going on in politics because I'm deeply afraid that no one will care if it's just about me. So I'm trying to push up against that, and whatever comments I get, negative or positive, I'm gonna try to keep going because I believe that I'm good at this and that I can, or I should say, I believe I can get good at this, that I can learn this skill of being vulnerable, of sharing stories, of sharing my life. And ultimately, the only thing I want is to be a comforting presence in someone's life. I think about the YouTubers I love, and they comfort me. I watch their videos when I need to relax, when I need to unwind, when I want a different perspective, when I'm eating my food, when I just want to unwind after a long day. And so I feel like if I can give that to someone, just a little bit of respite from this crazy world, then that in and of itself is so beautiful, right? Like that's such a awesome thing to be able to do. And then it's also just fun. It's fun sharing stories. It's fun learning how to speak publicly, even though I'm recording this in the solitude of this apartment. Right now I'm in Barcelona. Also, I have so much to say about that too. I wonder how I should organize this because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about one, why I moved to Barcelona. I'm only here for the summer and then I'm probably going to come back here full time. Two, I want to talk about my dating life here. I can even jump into that now and then we can just segue into the other things. And I also want to dive into this, why I'm afraid to try and be bad at things, or why I intentionally put out things that I know are not that good, because it's easier to put out something that's a subpar product and be like, well, I didn't really try that hard. Like I didn't really give my all, than it is to sit with the fact that something you did pour your all into wasn't well received. And so I think often I protect myself by putting like 70% effort or 50% effort and just doing whatever the minimum viable product is. Like, how can I just quickly record a video, quick react? I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to write out a script just so I can put something out, because I want to be consistent with this thing. But then if it does bad, well, I didn't try that hard. So that's why I did bad. And just really coming to terms with the fact that I want to start trying hard and I want to be able to live with the errors that I make, the missteps that I make, the failures that are inevitably going to happen. Also, I'm not sure if this is like even, and if it's not, I'm sorry. Again, we're gonna learn together, and you can see my Advil bottle in the corner, but whatever. Okay, so first, let's talk about dating. I struggle both with emotional avoidance and also anxious attachment, as a lot of people do. And I think that after my last separation from someone I really cared about, two friends that were in my life that for all intents and purposes were like my life partners, even though that probably would not be the correct classification for them, was so devastating to me that I didn't really let anyone into my life besides Ayanda, who's my best friend who I live with here. You might know her. She's a really big content creator. She's incredible at her craft. We work together, we're business partners, and I'm so lucky to call her a best friend because she's just so incredible. She's a wonderful person, really kind, really nurturing, really thoughtful, really brilliant. She inspires me every day to be better, to try harder. And she's also just a genius and at her craft, and also just in life. She's an incredible conversationalist. She's so well read, just an amazing best friend. But apart from that relationship, I didn't really talk to anyone but her and my parents for like 2 or 3 years after this big separation that I had, because it was hard for me to let anyone in. And when people wanted to go on dates with me, when people wanted to, I just couldn't do it. There was this guy in my hometown who really liked me, and he was really sweet. And I still wonder what might have been if I would have just given him a chance. And here in Barcelona, after 2 years of not dating, I really wanted to put myself out of my comfort zone and date. I wanted to just go on dates and just have fun. You know, one of my mentors and one of my friends in life, Alexander Chee, the famous novelist, I'm so lucky that I even know him. He has given such great public dating advice on his Instagram and in his tweets. And then also he's told me just try to not think so much about it. Try to not be so anxious, because I'm so, as you can tell, anxiety just. And he said, try to just have fun. Try to just enjoy your time. Don't think too much about, is this going to turn into something? Is this going to be my husband? Just try to enjoy your life. Try to relax. And I've been trying to take his advice and trying to take the advice of some of my friends to just get out of my head and get into my life. So I've been dating a few different people here. The first, let's call him Milo, is this very sweet guy from Poland. And Milo is really kind, really thoughtful, But the only thing is he's married and he's in an open relationship with his husband. So everything's like above board or whatever. But I think that I have realized, even though the few dates that we've been on have been really lovely, that I just don't know if I have what it takes to be with someone who is in an open relationship, even if like everything is like agreed on and everyone's happy to do their thing. Like I don't like knowing that a relationship can't, because he's not polyamorous, right? He's not like looking for another partner. He's just looking to casually date someone. And I don't know if I could do that. And so I've been having fun. We've been going on like, food dates, just to restaurants and going to parks and walking around and having a lot of fun. But I'm still not sure that I can handle it. And then there is a guy who lives down the street from me. Let's call him, I'm gonna come up with like fake names for them just to protect their anonymity. Let's call him Gilbert. That's not his name, but we had a really few fun, passionate nights together, and then he's out of town on summer holidays because most people in Europe travel in July and August. It was more so just like a fun fling. I don't really see like a future kind of developing there, but we really connected on his love of activism and literature. And yeah, we kind of had like a beautiful experience together. And then there was this really, really great guy who is from France. I'm gonna like alter details a little bit. And his name is, let's say Jake. His name is Jake. That's not his real name, but his name is Jake. And I really liked him. Like we had an amazing experience together. We walked all around town. We had this great date night. He's an amazing kisser. We also had this really scary experience where we got like mugged. It was like actually really traumatizing. Basically, we were walking in this intersection and these people like grabbed my arm and tried to reach into my pockets. Luckily, I didn't have anything on me, but they like ripped off his necklace. It was literally so scary. And I don't know if we're trauma bonded or what, but like after that night, I just really like think about him a lot. Sadly, he like is doing this around the world tour thing. So like he was only in town for a few days. And so we spent what time we could together, but he is gone, and we like send each other lots of texts and WhatsApps. But I also worry that like the one that I kind of like most is the one who's like emotionally unavailable, because he's like physically unavailable as well. But I have been going on dates. I've been pushing myself to do it, even though I haven't been amazing at it. And then there was this other guy. This is why I like took a break for the past week. I would say like the first month, like all of June, I was like dating. I was like outside, out at these restaurants. I was like, I'm trying to meet somebody, trying to have my before sunrise moment. Let me stretch a little bit. My leg's falling asleep. And then what happened? So I met this one guy and we went to Gracia, which is like about an hour away. And let's call him Newman. His name is Newman. Is that from Seinfeld? I don't even know. No, I don't like that name. Let's call him Bob. So Bob was really confrontational. Like he was like really weird. Like he got there and he was like super just like contrarian about everything I would say. I felt like he was trying to pick a fight with me. And then it was so weird because he seemed to like have a really good time on this date. Like he was texting me like, oh my gosh, I like you so much. Like I had such a great time. And I was like, did we go on the same date? Because he seemed like he really enjoyed my presence, but I was like, I don't know, maybe I just am too sensitive, but I was like, this guy seems like he hates me. Like he seems like he's so annoyed by my presence. But I guess some people have that kind of like argumentative personality. I mean, I don't think that I have that. Oh my God, I just heard a weird sound. Someone's listening. So that was definitely really weird. And then I like was really brave and just told him that I don't think that it's a good idea for us to see each other again. Even though I'm like, that's another thing. I read this article about people who submarine. People who submarine are people who are like in and out of your life. Oh my God, my leg's actually really falling asleep. See, things that I'll find out as I start vlogging more. People who submarine are people who don't ghost you, but they just like disappear for weeks at a time, which reminds me of this other guy. Okay, I probably sound like such a sleut right now. So there's this other guy named, let's call him Peter. Peter was actually a really good friend of mine, a name of a really good friend of mine in college who I miss. Peter, if you see this, call me. Miss you, buddy. That Peter is straight, but this Peter was not, because he was on a date with me. And Peter is not his real name, it's his code name. But anyways, this guy is from Spain and he is really, really sweet. And this is another reason why I feel like avoidant or like not fully able to let my guard down, because I actually don't like that term. It's such like a straight term. Let my guard down. What does that even mean? I love when Trixie and Katya will say that. They're like, what guard? What guard are you talking about? What army are you deploying? Trixie and Katya are two of my favorite drag queens, by the way. But there was this guy, and his name is Peter, and he was really sweet, and he took me to all these historic sites and museums, and I just didn't feel attracted to him, and I felt bad for not being attracted to him, and I was like kind of meeting up with him on and still going to dates because I felt like it was rude of me not to. I don't know, it's so silly. Like I just felt like, how could I? This guy is handsome and he's nice and he's smart. And then I started to wonder, am I like broken inside that like the nice, handsome, smart guy I just can't seem to make it work with, or I can't seem to like be interested in? But anyway, so I went on all these different dates, the string of dates, and then I decided to take a full-on break because it was like kind of becoming a lot. And then the past like week or so, I've just like literally been Catholic nun vibes, just like I've been inside, air conditioning. It's also getting really hot out and it's about to be my birthday, and I'm not trying to be like on an emotional roller coaster as I ring in the new year. And let's see, what else? So that's how dating is kind of going. And then, so the other thing that I feel like I'm not living up to my potential is my writing life. So I went to grad school for creative writing. I got an MFA, and for all intents and purposes, that phrase actually, by the way, is not intensive purposes, intense and purposes. I learned that because a professor corrected one of my papers. I should have a novel that is done and sent to a publisher and signed to an agency right now. I just had one of my students who signed to an agent already, and I wrote a full novel as my dissertation in grad school, and I should have signed with a publisher already, and I had a publisher that was interested in me, and I don't know what happened to me, but I got so depressed after this separation thing that I went through with these two people in my life, which happened at the end of grad school with the person I was living with and then with this other person, that I just like, my writing practice went from 2 years of grad school writing every single day. Like I wrote so many novellas, so many short stories. I was like working as an editor for a literary magazine. I was getting things published. I was winning scholarships. I was getting the attention of agents in New York. You know, I was really like doing the damn thing. And I had spent my whole life like being like, this is my dream. I want to be a novelist. I, went to Dartmouth for undergrad, and there I studied literature and I studied poetry and fiction. I was a TA for fiction and poetry classes. I've taken so many different workshops. I've studied under Anne Bergermont at the University of Iowa Writers Workshop. I mean, like, I have done so many writing workshops and written so many drafts of so many novels, and I am ready to move on to that next phase of my life. But then I just went through this period where I was like really depressed for a year, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't make myself write again. And then Ayanda and I came into each other's lives, and she's really helped to heal the part of me that was really stalled. And through her help and her guidance, I've been able to start writing essays again. So I started a Substack, which is this wonderful place, which, if you don't know what Substack is, it's kind of like Medium or Blogspot, but essentially people pay like a subscription to be subscribed to. You don't have to pay the subscription, but it's kind of like a part of the site's values to like support writers. And then in response for that subscription, you are able to access essays that a writer writes. And so we started sharing a lot of these essays together, and then I started being encouraged by her to write more essays and publish more essays. And so over the course of like the past 2.5 years, I have posted over 100 times on that site, sometimes short stories, sometimes essays, sometimes poems. So I have written quite a lot, but I still am avoiding writing a book and sending it to agents, because it's not that I'm even afraid or like don't think I'm good enough. I mean, I have this anthology thing that I contributed to in grad school that we just signed the contract on, that's going to be coming out in the next year. And I had this like story that was published in this other anthology. And so like I have had things published, and I don't like feel afraid of publishing. I know sometimes people feel afraid of taking that step. It's more so that like, I just don't know if like novels are my medium, which and maybe this is because I'm just like kind of copying out, and like I'm afraid to get rejected or get like not signed with an agent or not have my book sell, which happens sometimes where an agent loves you, but then they pitch it and no publisher wants it. But I also have been talking with Ayanda, like we were walking on the boardwalk the other day, and she was like, well, we also live in this really rare time in history where basically like you don't have to be a traditional novelist. Like you could publish your books in installments through your Substack or through Medium. You could just publish essays. You can embrace, like Borges or Alice Munro, embrace short stories or short essays like as your form, as your medium, because I mean you've continually committed to that and shown yourself that you love that. And if writing a novel or taking the novel to a next step is the block, then maybe it's not that you're not able to do it. Maybe it's just that the way that you live up to your potential is embrace what you already are doing as enough. And that was really such a huge unlock for me, because then I started to think like, what if that is enough? Like, I mean, I reached so many, oh my God, I heard like a knock. I reached so many thousands of people on my Substack. And what if that knock actually really like threw me off? I think it's the person across the hall. But I reached so many thousands of people on my Substack. And what if that is enough for like how I should reach new readers? And what if it's like I'm meant to be a content creator and an essay writer and a short story writer? What if I don't have to do novels in the traditional sense? Because I feel like also the experiences that I've had with traditional publishing have not necessarily always been super positive, not in that like personally, but just like hearing horror stories from friends, because obviously I haven't traditionally published my own novel, but I've just heard these stories of people who have, it's like taken years and years and endless rounds of edits, and by the time they're actually on tour for the book, they feel like a completely different person. And I like that we are able to essentially skip these kind of middlemen by going direct to the source with sites like YouTube or Substack or Medium or any of these places like Kindle Vella or whatever the Amazon one is, where you can just like directly publish on your own. But then of course there's such a stigma with like traditional publishing versus online publishing, so I've also been kind of navigating that. Wow, I'm also feeling really self-conscious that there's like someone in the hall right now, but this is another part of vlogging that until I'm back home in Georgia, where I have tons of privacy and silence, I will have to embrace, because I'm in a building and there are other tenants and humans. Maybe too, I even make this first one only like 27 minutes. Ooh, but I was kind of hoping that I would talk for an hour, but maybe 27 minutes is delicious and perfect. Maybe I'll make this part 1. Okay, I'm gonna do that.